If you've ever stepped into a big new role, especially a leadership role, you probably know the feeling. You've got the skills, you've got the experience, but there's still that little voice in the back of your head asking, do I actually belong here? Well, we're going to dive deep into that feeling today because we're not just here to talk about self-doubt. We're here to build a real toolkit for lasting confidence.
So let me ask you, have you ever been in a meeting, looked around the table, and just had this sinking feeling that you were somehow fooling everybody? That you were the one who just didn't get the memo? If any of that sounds familiar, I want you to know you are absolutely not alone. It is a surprisingly common feeling, and it actually has a name.
Way back in 1978, a couple of psychologists, Pauline Clance and Susanna Imes, they gave it a name, the imposter phenomenon. And it's exactly what it sounds like, that nagging feeling that you're a fraud, even when all the evidence, all your accomplishments say you're more than qualified. It's not just about being nervous. It's a specific way of thinking that a lot of really high-achieving people deal with.
And it really is a universal feeling. This isn't some rare personal problem. It's a common hurdle. We see it pop up a lot for women who are navigating leadership positions where, maybe seeing fewer people who look like them can make that feeling of not belonging even louder.
And it's not just a hunch, the data actually confirms this. Research shows that women in leadership are more likely than men to feel like they're not quite equipped for their jobs, even when they're knocking it out of the park performance-wise. So what does that tell us? It points to a really critical gap. And it's not a gap in competence, it's a gap in confidence.
So here is maybe the most important takeaway of this whole explainer. Feeling like an imposter is not a personal flaw, okay? It is not a sign that there's something wrong with you or that you're unqualified. More often than not, it's actually a reflection of a much bigger systemic pattern.
And this is where something called role congruity theory comes into play. Basically, it says that there can be a mismatch between what our culture pictures as a leader and the traits we traditionally associate with women. So when our default image of a leader is someone super assertive and authoritative, it can create this weird internal conflict for women who lead in different but just as effective ways.
Think about it like this. On one side, you have these traits we often tie to traditional leadership: assertiveness, control, authority. But on the other side, you have these incredible strengths like empathy, collaboration, and reflection, the very things that build amazing teams. The problem isn't that one style is better than the other. It's that for a long time, one style has been seen as the right way, which can make the other one feel, well, out of place. And when that happens, it's really easy to start feeling like a fraud. So, if this feeling is a pattern and not a personal failing, what do we do about it? Well, here's the good news. Confidence is not some magic trait you're either born with or you're not. Nope. It's a skill. It's something you can build, you can practice, and you can strengthen, just like a muscle. I absolutely love this quote from our source material by Jennifer Laverniere. Confidence is not something we find. It's something we build. This just flips the whole script, doesn't it? It means the power is back in our hands. We get to be the architects of our own confidence. And there's some really solid psychology to back this up. The famous psychologist Albert Bandura, his work on what he called self-efficacy, which is really just a fancy term for believing in your own abilities, it gives us the blueprint. He found that our confidence grows through three key things: mastering new skills, getting encouragement from others, and, this is the one we so often skip, actually taking the time to reflect on our successes.
Okay, so that brings us to the practical stuff. Let's get into your confidence toolkit. We're going to look at 3 concrete strategies you can literally start using today to actively build up that self-efficacy.
Here they are. First, keeping a wins notebook to actually see your progress. Second, practicing reflection to really let those successes sink in. And third, finding your community to get that encouragement that Bandura talked about. Let's break each of these down. All right, first up, the wins notebook. This sounds so simple, but it is so powerful. See, self-doubt loves to operate in the gray areas, where our memories are fuzzy. This notebook is your counterattack. It creates a tangible, undeniable record of your competence. All you have to do is once a week, write down 3 little things that went well. Over time, this thing becomes your personal evidence locker against that nagging voice of doubt. Next up, reflection. Because it's not enough to just have wins, right? We have to actually process them. Asking yourself these 3 questions every week helps you connect what you do to who you are. It helps you see your impact clearly. This is how you close that gap between how capable you actually are and how capable you feel. And finally, community. You are not meant to do this alone.
Confidence just grows so much faster when you're not in a vacuum. Research shows over and over again that having mentors and seeing role models are critical coping strategies, especially for women leaders. When someone else shares their own journey with doubt, it just makes the whole experience feel normal, and it gives you permission to believe in your own path.
So, all of these tools, the notebook, the reflection, the community, they're all pointing toward one big ultimate goal: to stop trying to cram yourself into some preconceived idea of what a leader should be, and instead to just start leading as you are.
The author of our source material, Jennifer Laverniere, she shares this really personal story that just captures this perfectly. She was a new principal, and she remembers standing in front of her entire staff for the very first time. Her voice was shaking, and she could just feel the crushing weight of all those expectations. I mean, that is the imposter phenomenon live and in person. But then something shifted. Instead of trying to perform leadership, she just started talking from her heart about her passion and her vision for the students. And the entire energy in the room changed. It softened. In that moment of just being her authentic self, she connected with her team, not as an authority figure, but as a leader with a shared purpose.
And that's the powerful lesson she learned. Leadership isn't a performance you put on to prove you deserve to be there. It's an expression of your values, your strengths, your unique point of view. It's about leading from who you already are, not trying to lead towards who you think you're supposed to be. So here's the bottom line. Your competence, your skills, your qualifications, your talent, that's not in question. That stuff is already there. The real work, the real journey, is just building the confidence to see it, to acknowledge it, and to finally own it.
Let's just end on a simple, powerful truth. If you are in that room, if you have that role, it is because you earned it. Having doubts doesn't disqualify you, it just means you care. So take a deep breath, maybe open up that wins notebook, and remember, you belong here.